Hi everyone. So today in this video, we are going to learn that how do I delete rows or columns from a data frame. Also, how do I rename the existing row index and the column names. Okay, so let's get started. First, let's learn how do I delete a column from a data frame. Okay, now whether I'm going to delete a column or a row, remember the function name or the method name I'm going to use is the same. That means it is going to be drop. Now let's see how to use it. Consider a data frame as shown on the screen here, and I'm assuming the name of my data frame is product. Okay, the column names are P name, manufacturer, unit price, and quantity. And the row indexes is the PID, which is P01, P02, P05, 3, 6, and 4. So my first question here is to delete the column quantity from the data frame. So we're talking about deleting a column. Though deleting a column and a row both use the same method called drop, there's a slight difference in when you delete a column, what you need to write, and when you delete a row, what you need to write. So to delete a column, let's start with deleting a column. What do I write in my command? Okay, so I write the name of the method I said is drop. So if you can see here, I've written product.drop, then the name of the column that I want to drop, and what is this parameter called axis? If you remember the initial classes of data frame, we've learned the data frame has two axes, axis 0, which specifies the row index, and axis 1, which talks about the column. Now I'm trying to delete a column here. That's the reason we have written axis is equal to 1. You could also write axis is equal to columns in quotes, okay? Another interesting thing that you need to see here is I've written the drop method with the print statement. I have not written it just as product.drop in bracket quantity, comma, axis is equal to 1. Why have I done this? Because drop method doesn't, this line at least, doesn't exactly manipulate the data frame called product. What does it do? It takes the data frame called product, deletes the column named as quantity, and gives you a new data frame that does not have the column called quantity. So it's the product data frame is currently untouched, but the drop function is deleting the column called quantity and giving you a new data frame, and that new data frame is what I am printing. Instead of print, if I said df is equal to product.drop, then what would happen? Df would have all the columns of the data frame product, but not the quantity column, because drop removed that and gave me a new data frame. So my output in the print command would look like this, as I'm showing you here. Okay, so now if you see, the quantity column has been dropped. Okay, but remember, this is with the print command. Has it originally been dropped? For that, if I write print product, that's my original data frame, I see that quantity column still exists there. The reason being, I told you the drop method in the previous case was dropping the column and giving you a new data frame, and you just displayed that new data frame. When you went back to the old data frame, when you said print product, it still gave you the quantity column. But this is not what I wanted, right? I actually want to delete the column called quantity from the original data frame called product. Then in that scenario, what can I do? Okay, for that, we make use of another parameter with the drop method. It's called in place. Now, if you look at this statement, I've not written the drop method with the print command. I wrote product.drop in bracket, the column I wanted to drop, which is quantity. Axis is equal to 1 because I'm not dropping a row, I'm dropping a column, and columns are on axis 1. In place is equal to true. Now, this is the most important thing here. In place is equal to true means you want this deletion of column to happen in place. That means you want this deletion to happen on the data frame called product itself. And that's the reason in the next line, when I say print product, it has manipulated the data frame called product, and now you see that the quantity called the column called quantity does not exist here. Clear? Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, now let's look at deleting a row from a data frame. Like I said, the method used is going to be drop. But because it's a row, I'm not going to refer to axis 1, but I'm going to refer to axis 0. So I have written product.drop P06. P06 is now not the column name now, but the index, the row indexes. Axis is equal to 0 because I'm referring to a row. In place is equal to true. We just learned in place is equal to true would mean what? That I am going to affect the original data frame. The deletion is going to take place there. Is that clear? Okay. And this axis is equal to 0 could also be written as axis is equal to index in quotes. Or you could even avoid the parameter called axis, because by default, always the parameter has the value 0. That means it's always going to work on the row. And now when I said print product, what happens is, can you see here, P06 doesn't exist in my data frame at all. Okay, so for both the methods, remember that axis is equal to 0 would mean I'm deleting a row. Axis is equal to 1 would mean I'm deleting a column. Now, what could happen is some of you all could have a question like this. Okay, this is deleting based on the column name and the row heading. What if I want to do a deletion based on a certain condition? Okay, means what? What if I wanted to delete all the rows where the quantity is, let's say, below 10? Okay, what if I want to delete all the rows where the quantity is below 10? Then in that scenario, what would I do? Again, the name of my data frame, that's product dot drop. Drop is the only command that allows me to delete whether it's a row or a column. Now, if I look at this, I know P01 and P05 are the ones where the quantity is less than 10. So if I write this P01, and now can you see I've put a list, a square bracket there, because I'm not just dropping one row, I am trying to drop two rows, okay? And I write in place is equal to true. Okay, this is also going to work perfectly fine. But here what is happening is I am mentioning after looking at the condition, I am looking at the row index and saying, oh, P01 and P05 has quantity less than 10, so they have to be deleted. But that's not the right answer, right, to the question given. Even if I had more records, everything that has quantity less than 10 should be dropped. Then in that scenario, what do I do? That means I'm talking about a generalized statement. Imagine if this had 1,000 records, out of which 100 records had quantity less than 5. Are you going to be writing all those 100 records? No. Now, why did I show you this here? Is just to tell you that suppose the question said that to drop, not a condition-based question, to drop rows with PIDs P01 and P05, when you have more than one column or more than one row to be specified, you will always specify it in square brackets. That means a list of row indexes or a list of column indexes. You might have noted I did not write the parameter called axis because I told you by default axis is 0. So it's going to refer to a row itself. Now coming back to my question. Delete all the rows of the data frame where quantity is less than 10. Then what would be the right answer rather than picking up the PIDs from the data frame? You mention that condition. So I write product square bracket. If I have told you while displaying, display all the products where the quantity is less than 5, wouldn't you be writing this? The name of the data frame, square bracket, the condition is what? Product dot quantity less than 5. right? If I give this condition, what does it do basically? Like if I had given print product square bracket product dot quantity less than 5, what would it give me? All the rows where the quantity is less than 5. Okay. Now I want to delete all the rows with quantity less than 5. So this would give me all the rows. I'm not interested in the rows. I'm interested in their row indexes, because drop function needs me to either give column indexes or row indexes. So I write dot index. We've seen an attribute called index of a data frame. So product square bracket product dot quantity less than 5 basically gives me a data frame as an answer with all the rows where the quantity is less than 5. What did I do? From that data frame, got all the index numbers. So in this scenario, all the index numbers that have quantity less than 5 will be captured here. And that's what the drop function needs. Comma, and you write in place equals to true. So in this scenario, I've done a condition-based dropping. I've done a condition-based dropping here where all the records that satisfy that condition gets selected first. Dot index means I get the index numbers of all those rows, and drop is basically supposed to be dropping based on the index number that you specify. I hope it's clear. Okay. We will be doing a lot of just data frame based questions once we finish with the entire syllabus of the data frame. Okay, so it'll be, now here what am I doing? I'm teaching you one point at a time, but we will be doing it as like a question and a multiple types of questions along with it. You will understand it better. Okay, so I hope the deleting of the column and the deleting of the row is clear. Okay, let's go ahead with the next. Now to rename a row index or to rename a column index. Now to rename a row index or to rename a column index, the method used is rename. Again, when you say axis is equal to 0 or axis is equal to index, you refer to the row. And when you say axis is equal to 1 or axis is equal to column, you refer to the column. Same like the drop. Drop was common for deleting a row or a column. It was axis that said what you're trying to delete. Similarly, for renaming, the function's name, the method's name is rename, but are you renaming a column or are you renaming a row index would depend upon what is the axis that you have given. For example, I said to change the row index P01 and P05. So now I'm trying to change the row index of 2 rows. Okay, so function used is rename. What I want you to clearly look here is, this is the function, right? This function takes the first parameter as a dictionary. Can you see a dictionary? How do I know it's a dictionary? Because a dictionary always has curly brackets. And within the dictionary, you have a key, colon, value pair. Now, what does this mean? This is the old index, the new index, the old index, the new index. So what are you trying to say? That wherever you have P01 to be replaced by P001, and wherever you have P05 to be replaced by P005. And here I've written axis is equal to index. I could have even written axis equal to 0, or I could have just eliminated this because I told you by default axis is 0, correct? Okay, so this is how I rename a row. But is the column any different? No, for the column, what do I do? Can you see here? I wrote product.rename function. Method name is the same. Dictionary says unit price colon U price. So what does it mean? Unit price heading should change now to U price. And I wrote now axis is equal to columns here. Okay. I could have written axis equal to columns, or I could have even written 1. But here it's a necessity because I'm referring to the columns. By default, axis is 0. Okay. Another interesting thing that I need you to remember is, see, I've written product is equal to product dot rename. What does that mean? Like the drop function, rename also does the renaming and gives you a new data frame. I didn't want to store the data frame into a new data frame. I wanted to overwrite the old data frame. So product is equal to, like when you say A is equal to 5 and then you say A is equal to 10. Does it have 5? No, it has only 10, right? So product initially had unit price. You renamed it to U price. You got a new data frame. And I stored that same thing back into the data frame object called product. So product got updated. Instead of doing that, instead of writing product is equal to, I could have just written this and added one more parameter saying in place is equal to true. Sorry, no quotes. What would this mean? That the renaming is happening with the original data frame itself. It's not giving me a new data frame. Here it was giving me a new data frame, which I am using the new data frame and putting it into the old ones. Actually, the old one gets, what do you say, modified. But instead of doing that, I could also use the parameter called in place, okay, as I have shown you here. Okay, so let me just clear up my screen a little before. Now you might say, where's the output for this? Like, how do I know whether it took place? I've written both the commands together and I will take you to the output together. Now, when I said print product, can you see that P001 has become P001 and P05 has become P005 and unit price has now become U price. Is that clear? So I hope the drop and the rename concept is clear. Both have parameters called in place because both actually do certain things for us, but give me a new data frame. I want it to be done in the same data frame. So instead of writing product is equal to product dot drop, that means getting the new data frame and then putting it back into the same variable called product. Instead of doing that, I could use the parameter called in place. Is that clear? Okay. Now, what if here I was renaming a particular column or a particular row? But what if I want to rename all the indexes and all the columns? Then in that scenario, we make use of the parameter called index and columns of a data frame. Look at this. I wrote product.index is equal to, and I gave you a list of the indexes. So this is all going to be my row index. What you need to remember here is the number of values that you specify here on this line, the number of values that you specify here on this line should be equal to the number of rows that you have. So can you see I have 6 rows. So I have product 1, product 2, P3, P4, P5, P6. Similarly, I wrote product dot columns and I gave a list of column headings. Can you see all my column headings have changed? But the number of elements that you write here should be matching with. So how many you wrote here? 4. So there should be 4 columns. How many did you write here? 6. So there should be 6 rows. Is that clear? So I hope the drop method and the rename method both are very clear to you. An easy way to remember is both these. You didn't see in place anywhere else. Both these have a parameter called in place so that the changes can be made in the final data. Okay? So I hope everything is understood. So if you have understood, then what can you do? You can like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.